He never gives up, he'll stay till the fight's won. G.I. Joe will dare. G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to episode 7 of your favorite G.I. Joe cartoon show podcast experience. Felt good. Felt good, felt right. I'm going to go forward. This is Knowing is Half the Podcast.
Oh, geez, I didn't realize. Were you doing an intro? I was drinking a glass of water and did not pay attention at all.
Damn
Sorry.
it.
I'll go back and listen to it in post.
I hate you so much right now.
I'm Robert Chan.
I am Ray Stacanis.
I'm Gina Polito.
And thank you so much for coming on back and checking us out. We did watch one of the most iconic episodes of G.I. Joe, the Red Rocket's Glare episode, episode 7.
Episode 7. My immediate question is, did Red Rocket not mean dog dick in the 80s?
Oh, Jesus. I don't know what meant that now.
What?
I believe it's lipstick is what it's referred
I mean,
to.
they're both. It's both. If you see a dog's penis, you immediately yell Red Rocket.
And
I've never heard that before.
That must be a Jersey thing.
That's
specifically.
all I could. That's all I could think throughout this whole episode.
Now, there's a color I refer to as dog dick red, which makes sense.
I'm telling you, Google it. Do some Urban Dictionarying,
Urban
folks.
Dictionary.
Urban Red
Post
Rocket.
a comment if you have heard this before, that Red Rocket means dog dick. Post a comment telling us this.
No, it makes sense, and I'm sure that you are correct. I feel like the Red Rocket in this case was referring to Roadblock's hugely homosexual penis.
How dare you?
There was so much homoeroticism in this episode. Like, not in a bad way. It was just like, it seemed pretty clear that the writer was just like, I'm going to drop
Slip
every
this in here.
reference I can that Roadblock is gay.
I am going to be terrified right now because I didn't even notice one iota of that in this episode.
I actually didn't realize it or notice it either. So I hope you took
boy.
note of all the instances,
I
Chan.
certainly did.
Chan just did get back from his brony convention, so I guess it makes sense.
I'm sorry, is that what you call Comic-Con?
Yes, that is
San
all
Diego
that's all I know it to
Comic-Con?
be. Is just people wearing brony costumes.
How jealous are you of me? By the way, next year...
lot.
Next year we should get a booth, and you should cosplay as the Baroness. I'll cosplay as Dr. Mindbender. You cosplay as
Sergeant Slaughter.
Sergeant Slaughter.
I would be
Bravo.
down, but I also feel like a booth is probably so expensive.
It is very expensive, and there would be absolutely no reason for us to do it. Unless,
I'm in. You had me at so expensive.
I mean, if we got into the vintage toy reselling racket, there were a couple places there, and
Can't we get into the artist's room? Isn't that cheap?
can you draw?
I could draw stick figures of G.I. Joe.
I can actually draw.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well,
Done.
Then you will pay our way through
Yeah.
Comic-Con. No, I saw a couple amazing vintage toy booths and a bunch of just old toys
Really?
that I hadn't seen, did not remember. There was a Muppet Babies castle. I did not remember that was a thing at all. And just all sorts of
Did they live
cool
in a castle
shit.
and I just missed it? They lived in an apartment.
They lived in the nanny room.
No, I'm pretty sure they had a fantasy realm where there was a castle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So-
Yeah, I think it's in the opening. They talk about it actually.
No. I did see the Cobra Hydrofoil, which was the only serious G.I. Joe toy I ever had.
I had one of those. Beautiful.
And it was
But you
pretty
didn't
great.
buy it. You didn't buy it.
Oh, I didn't even bother asking for the price. It was very high up.
Oh, it'd be in the many hundreds of dollars.
You could have just said to them I do this podcast. Can you give it to me for free?
I'll give you a shout out on the
Yeah,
podcast.
exactly.
Has that ever worked
No.
in the history of...
I mean, for me, it's worked, guys. I'm a lady.
Fair enough. So getting back to the episode, and we're talking about Comic-Con, we start off in the jungle.
Yeah, are the Joes just knocking down trees?
Yes, they are.
Because I found that to be kind of weird for the good guys to just be like, get out of the way, tree, and then just destroying the forest.
There seems to be a lot of things in this episode that were referencing other things. It would make sense if they were clearing the brush for a certain thing that they're trying to do or whatever. There are other stuff like the little native kid that is about to come up.
Yeah.
That they just drop. They make specific mention of it. There's a bigger story, and then oh, no, never mind. Never
I did feel like we maybe missed an episode in there with the little Indian boy.
They're chasing the kid from the Jungle Book. And I found that to be just, where's Baloo the bear to protect him? So you got Roadblock and Rakondo cutting down trees that they could very easily have walked around.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
They were just using the machete to use the machete.
Also, what the hell was that native kid looking for? Apparently, it was an element that Cobra needed. It already had Cobra imprinted on it, though. So
yeah.
It was a Cobra capsule that you just put into a warhead that makes it blow upier.
Okay.
Near as I can
Makes
tell.
it-
And there's
that-
only one.
That logic tracks to me.
And somehow, like, the delivery service that's popular for Destro is native children.
Yeah.
Couldn't have FedExed it.
Also, why, if that was the only thing, how did that one warhead become 150?
Don't worry about that, I think is the answer G.I. Joe would like you to say. Because Destro is in a generous mood. Mm-hmm. He
Sure.
says, I will not kill you for being late. First off, the kid doesn't have a watch. How would he even know what the appropriate time is? Does he even understand the concept of time?
Whoa, now we're getting a little bit racist.
He's wearing a loincloth and, like, no shoes. Like,
This is like the thing where they're saying, like, oh, there was no color blue before, 400 BC. In fact, there was a color blue. They understood the color blue. And natives get time. They
Okay.
just don't talk about it that much.
Well, that kid
like
didn't say
you
much of
white
anything at all.
Western assholes.
just waiting to be conquered. Anyway, the one thing that really crossed me in the first here is Blowtorch is chasing after this kid and goes in wearing full fireman outfit.
Yeah.
Full fire gear in the hottest jungle apparently ever.
This is the first time we've seen Blowtorch, right?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay, because they don't give him much of an intro or much of a story.
No.
I mean, to be fair, I think like a lot of these things, they're just there to sell the toy. So, like, here's your 90 seconds to sort of establish who you are, what
Right.
you do. Personally, I kind of dug Blowtorch back in the day because he was the only Joe with the mask, aside from, like,
Barbecue
Snake
had
Eyes.
a mask and Snake Eyes.
I
Yeah.
was not expecting that voice, by the way.
Yeah,
That Irish brogue that he
Are we-
had.
are we-
That's deep Irish right there.
Yeah.
Are we doing him for the Know Your Joe? Because I feel like
We need to
he's
know
gonna
more
be-
about him.
He's going to be one of the people that was born outside of the U.S.
You know, I wasn't going to, but now I feel like I should.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to.
I mean, this is a Roadblock episode, so I was going to go Roadblock.
oh, there
but
will be more
Oh,
Roadblock
yeah.
episodes.
Yeah.
Yes, there- but
But also, I
I'll
feel
take
like
Blowtorch any day.
we don't see Blowtorch at all in the rest of the episode. Is that right?
That is correct.
Correct. Because he's super bummed.
That's-
Another one of those stories that just I feel like you find him and he's drinking in a bar, just like, leave me alone. I can't do it anymore. I've burned places down, but I've just burned things down, and I should try building things. I should try building relationships with me man, me pa.
I do feel like he's the most destructive of the Joes. Like that character, he's not going to get into a fight with anyone without horribly killing them. Like there's no subtlety to this character at all.
Well, that's why Destro says you're too crude and too late.
I would agree. He's too crude.
I just appreciate that his answer to everything is a blowtorch. Oh, is there a door in my way? Wham, blowtorch. Oh, are you going to push a shelf on me? Wham, blowtorch. Oh, Destro, are you standing next to a very, very destructive warhead? Wham, blowtorch.
And here's the other thing. I think this might actually be one of those things that was a lesson directed at kids. It's like, you know what? Fire can be very useful, but if you let it get out of control, it's too dangerous, and you're not going to succeed at whatever it is that you're trying to do.
I feel like
just
this
like old
probably,
Blowtorch here.
I feel like this probably caused a lot of kids to make their own blowtorches.
I think having a character with a flamethrower at all.
Flamethrowers are cool as shit, Gina.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty
Cool
sure
as
there were
shit.
a lot of kids that were like, all right, how can we make this?
So that's why, you just got to like put
Get
a moral in. And,
Zippo,
like,
get a
don't-
hairspray, blowtorch.
So Destro ends up escaping, and then there's one of the weirdest.
Well, on the way out the door, right before we get there, maybe,
Yeah.
Destro has a whole speech for Blowtorch that he delivers to the viewer at home. He gets to the top of the stairs. He turns and faces the camera. Blowtorch is coming from, like, his right. Doesn't even acknowledge him. He's like, and that's why I will escape, because I am Cobra, and you are too crude and too slow. And all of a sudden, Blowtorch comes up the stairs like, whoa, gotta go. And that absolutely killed me, that Destro, because he takes the time during the Pyramid of Darkness in the middle of a firefight to put his gun down and just laugh at people. And here he is addressing you at home.
I like his style. I
love Destro.
You gotta.
But then he goes and meets all the other bad guys, and there's this weird all-white shot
It was
with
great.
silhouettes.
It's so artistic.
Yeah.
I was like, are they in a fog storm? Is that what's going on?
No, it's just one shot. It's a developing shot where he walks into the frame and everybody's in this weird silhouette, and then boom, we're just right back to normal again.
It's almost like the cartoonists got lazy. Is what happened is they were like,
No.
oh, we don't have a background for this.
I'm sorry. If I were an evil mastermind plotting to take over the world, I would have so many cinematic setups. I would be standing in front of huge lights constantly. So when you're walking towards me, it's like, I could just make out the majestic silhouette that you're casting.
And Cobra Commander worries about that stuff, right? Because remember in the the Pyramid of Darkness, he said, should I start with my back to the camera?
Oh, yeah.
Or start just on my face? I mean, so he has a flourish for the dramatic, which I appreciate.
I also feel like he took an intro to film class and just is dropping those things like I picture him in the cafeteria line at Cobra and just being like, I took an intro to film class, so I really know what I'm talking about here. Like he's that guy that brags about his intro to film class.
Today I will learn about force perspective. But we missed my favorite part of the first part. Yes.
I hope that Cobra Commander makes all of his what were they, fanglings? Underling, Cobra,
Snakelings.
Yeah,
Snakelings take improv classes. It seems like the sort of thing.
I guarantee it.
And I feel like is there a new G.I. Joe episode or series now? If there is one, they should have one where Cobra teaches improv classes.
Improv 101 with Zartan.
Yeah.
Who's a master.
That would then,
that's true.
That would then, they would use that to take mind control. Mind control the people.
Yeah.
You have corporate employees. Yes, definitely. You have those corporate retreats that you hire improv people for to go and learn how to say yes and
And
get
there's also-
confidence and all that.
There's also nothing more evil than making someone sit through your Improv 101 show.
On so many levels that works. So much evil you can do with an improv class.
Yeah.
It's also how they could invade and assimilate themselves into other corporations.
That's what I'm saying.
To spread the Cobra.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yep.
But guys, we missed my favorite part.
Carry on.
We had a reason to use my favorite G.I. Joe vehicle. The bridge layer.
The bridge layer.
I love the bridge layer so much. It's so, thank God, there's always a ravine of a certain size that the bridge layer can overcome.
The bridge did get longer. Notice that in the animation.
Oh.
Also, if there's a ravine, I don't know, airstrike?
Yeah.
Do they not have planes? Is that not a thing we can use anymore?
Isn't it Ricondo who said, Destro's not worried about security. No one can cross this ravine. Are there no helicopters that exist?
It does
Can
seem
they
like
go
a bad
around-
oversight.
Go around back? Isn't that a thing you
Yeah.
can do?
We already know they all have jetpacks. So
That's a good point.
we already established that early on. Everyone in this universe has jetpacks.
Yeah.
Attached
Yeah.
to their belts
Yeah.
at a moment's notice.
Exactly.
And we've talked before about Cobra's ability to name things incredibly. The name of the super destructive weapon for this episode, the photon disintegrator.
Yes, indeed.
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Does that mean that it's disintegrating photons or that there are photons that are disintegrating things?
I think it uses photons to disintegrate other photons. It's just
okay.
throw the word photon
Okay.
in there wherever you can.
Sure. The thing is that it tends to destroy matter, physical objects, which I guess suggests that the photons were breaking apart because mass is just energy, just a tremendous amount of energy is compressed. So maybe it's disassimilating matter into its base components and then even further into just energy that then just gets reduced to nothing.
Makes
Nerd
sense to me.
alert.
Why did it leave behind grass and a butterfly?
Hey,
Listen,
that's my question
I
in the
have that note
demonstration.
later too. So let's not jump the gun here.
I have a lot of thoughts about that.
Let's not jump the gun.
You opened a can of worms right there, Chan. We are not ready to talk about that yet. Right now, I want to talk about the next scene, which is Roadblock. And Roadblock shows right now why he should never be given exposition. Because when he's the jolly rhyming guy who threatens people, he's delightful. When you need him to actually progress the story, dude cannot do it.
First of all, they're dressed in Hawaiian shirts. You forgot that.
They're on
little-
vacation.
You got that little
pretty
detail.
great.
Driving down the coast.
Which again makes me think of super stoned writers being like, "Hey, what should I put them in regular street clothes? Oh, the buffet's here." Hawaiian shirts. I'll just do that. That sounds good.
I mean, to be fair, if you're going on vacation in the 80s, you wear a Hawaiian shirt.
Especially if you're going on a 2-week trip down PCH, all the way as north as it will go.
How do you enjoy coastal cuisine without Hawaiian shirt, I ask you?
I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going on in this scene. I really like that this is the first family backstory we get of
Yes.
any Joe.
Sure.
I feel like they're at the point where they're like, we can't carry this show forever just on little
The
clips
97 characters we have.
So we should give you some sort of investment here.
Like Aunt Sarah and Uncle Caleb.
I love him, man. And his name is Marvin, we learn.
Yeah.
And apparently, Ricondo's like, he has a first name. He is unable to comprehend the concept, and he can't even speak.
Instantly makes fun of him.
His
for
mouth
it.
is just. Blah, blah,
Well,
blah,
Marvin
blah,
was
blah.
considered a goofy name back in the 80s, though. If your name was Marvin, it was like Aloysius. It was
Yeah.
something that you would be ashamed of.
Your
Sure.
cousin Marvin,
Marvin
Marvin Roadblock.
So my question about the West Coast cuisine is all Red Rocket restaurants. Where exactly is this restaurant? Because it seems like it's in the middle of nowhere off a cliff on the ocean.
I mean, that's where I would stop for food.
I mean, there's 150 of them around the country, so that's 3 per state.
That's not
which is
very many if
everywhere.
you think
That's
about it.
everywhere.
I feel
man.
like we've set up the fact that Roadblock knows food, right?
Roadblock is he's a cuisine
he's the one in
guy.
the last one who like really wanted to taste the gumbo.
Yes.
Is that a thing that I remember?
Roadblock, remember, because at the end he's cooking ribs and stuff too.
Yeah,
Like that man can grill.
I feel like right now we know the most about Roadblock.
Yes.
We've seen his
met his
family. We
family.
know that he's a foodie. His name is Marvin. He's the most familiar Joe right now.
I mean, that's why The Rock became him.
That's correct. But we don't talk about
He's
that
the most
movie.
multi-layered and three-dimensional
Yeah.
of the G.I. Joes.
The Red Rocket, they go inside, there's a Red Rocket cutout of
Yeah.
a guy waving.
Uh-huh.
Did you guys notice that on the close-ups, they like ran out of room to write the word Red Rocket on his chest?
so they just drew a picture of a
It's-
dog dick.
They just drew a giant picture of a dog dick. And under that it says Red Rock. Like the K is basically cut off at the edge and the E and the T are just squished in there the way a 5-year-old would
I was
like
gonna
use a
say,
piece
it's
of
like a
construction
little
paper when writing their name.
This whole sequence led me to ask the question: what are the laser gun laws in this universe? Because it seems like everyone's got them, and no one is policing it.
Well,
They
no,
make a big
because-
deal about that.
Yeah, I was like, where did this motorcycle gang get laser pistols?
The answer is Cobra.
I mean, I just think
Of
it
course.
seems like I just learned this today at regular show. They are not allowed to show guns anymore on that show
That makes
unless
sense.
they are laser guns.
Oh.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
least destructive of the guns.
Right, and it made me think of G.I. Joe because I was thinking maybe this is why they did laser guns back in the day. Maybe the standards and practices people were like, too realistic with real bullets.
Also, if you're shooting real bullets, it's a little tougher for someone to get hit and just go like, ow, and then fall down.
Yeah, that's true. You don't need to explain why they're not dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be grateful those bikers have laser guns. If they had real guns, like real poop could be going down right now.
That's true.
But it is sort of high tech. And what was with those kids?
Those poor
Yeah,
punk
the-
kids.
They were like kids from the future, from like a old like bad Back to the Future reboot or something. They had pink and purple hair.
I
Wearing
was
spacesuits.
disappointed none of them even tried to fight back. They looked like they had a lot of sass, but then when everything was going down, they had zero sass.
Zero sass.
I mean, to be
so you need
fair,
Roblox mass.
like-
I'm gonna rhyme right there.
Punks, and any punk is going to run away from guns that are being shot at them.
Yeah.
What do you think a punk is?
I mean, I wanted one of them to be like, whoa, man, not cool, and then hit him with a skateboard.
But then he'd be forced to join G.I. Joe, and maybe they weren't ready to make that life choice for themselves
That's
yet.
true. Anyway, there's one thing we've learned is that anyone who intervenes on G.I. Joe's behalf instantly becomes
You're immediately a member.
recruited.
That is fact.
You ask for this soundbite, so I will play it, and then we will discuss it.
This might be my favorite thing.
Here's the trash. I'll be the turkey if you'll be the stuffing.
Okay.
This might be my favorite line ever because if said in a different voice, it comes off as very sexual. Like
If it's-
hey, baby.
If you say it in the same voice, it sounds like he is asking those well-muscled, leather-clad.
Oh, now I get your earlier
Motorcycle.
point.
Chan, before we get there, Gina, you were going to say it in a sexy voice, and now I think
yeah.
the people at home and myself want to hear that.
Oh, yeah. Hey, baby, how you doing? Why don't we go back to my place and I'll be the turkey if you'll be the stuffing. In other words, I'm going to come a lot in your butt.
That's pretty much how I read it.
I didn't get that at all. I was thinking of Thanksgiving and delicious Thanksgiving dinner, Detroit Lions football. I think you guys are
Okay,
weird.
now hold on. The concept of a turkey, it's a thing. It's whatever it is. It's a bird. It's a thing.
It's a stuffed bird at
if
holiday time.
you, another person,
Yes.
will be the stuffing, if you will get inside of me, explain how that is supposed to be threatening. Explain how, if we're in a fist fight, you saying "stuff me" is going to frighten somebody.
If we were in a fist fight, Chan, and all of a sudden, right as it's about to go down, I turn to you and with the meanest look, I just go, "You'll be the turkey I'll be the stuffing.
No, he says, I'll be the turkey.
Yeah.
You be the stuffing still.
Right.
You would run in terror.
He's basically saying, hey, I'm going to be this thing with a giant orifice, a giant cavity, and then you can just get all up in there and stuff it. You can stuff that.
I get
you.
ya.
Can stuff that
Stuff it
cavity.
hard.
Are
Stuff
you
it hard.
scared? Are you scared
Keep
now?
going.
Yeah,
Stuff it.
it so
I'm
nice.
terrified.
I know people are
Right.
telling you that you should be cooking outside, but no, I'm telling you to get in right now.
Don't
We're
worry.
gonna get into that oven. And we're just
Don't
gonna,
worry about that salmonella.
So basically, before we get into this fight, I just want you to know I am a bottom. That's what I'm hearing out of this whole thing.
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough. Guys, honestly, that line didn't really affect me the way it did you guys. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
I
There's
didn't
a
read
lot
that
of
much into it.
There's a lot of latent homoeroticism in the 1980s that just went by without people realizing it. That's why it's such a big deal now. The Point Break, or not Point Break. Well, Point Break to a certain
Point
extent,
Break, absolutely
Top
Point
Gun,
Break.
Top Gun, like the volleyball. They're like,
Oh, yeah.
that's right. We were gay bashing, but in fact, we were all super gay and just
Yeah.
unwilling to admit it. So that's why if you're mad now, like, oh, gays and gay marriage and blah blah blah. We've always been this.
We've always
country.
been this gay.
We've just been afraid.
I don't
to
know if
admit
you've
it.
seen the He-Man video with the Four Non-Blondes song singing, but it's pretty much the best thing ever. Pause the podcast and go listen to it, but then come back and make a comment about how you listen to it.
So then they scare off the bikers.
Yeah, man, that trash can lid was the most destructive thing in the show. Here comes like a 2,000-pound motorcycle,
Absolutely.
just gunning over. Here is, I don't know, an 8-ounce plastic trash can
was
lid.
just the lid to a
just
trash
throw it on,
can.
and it doesn't even just like bounce and like act as a ramp, so he goes flying into it. It bounces and goes flying backwards,
Yep.
like some sort of repulsor field. I don't know.
Oh, you don't keep repulsor fields in your trash can lids?
Here's what I'm wondering: how do you even get a paper cup into the trash can if you have that repulsor lid on it?
I feel like they probably had a real bad raccoon problem at some point, and they got
Yeah.
the heaviest trash can lids they could buy.
Where are they going to have a raccoon problem? On the side of a cliff by the ocean.
Those ocean raccoons.
Those ocean raccoons.
the waterside
Those-
raccoons.
oh, the water rats.
yeah.
Previously referenced in Pyramid of
Wow,
Darkness.
Right.
maybe that's what they were talking about.
water
It's like amphibious raccoons. You
guys-
guys would be terrifying.
This all
I
ties
know.
together.
We better see those in a future episode, and they better be snuggly.
And then to end this scene right here, Roadblock just basically like, where do those bikers get laser pistols? And then Rakondo looks at him and goes, that's a great question. You know what? It's also a great question. And he says, why would bikers even be harassing a burger joint in the first place?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's another great question.
No, that it was the other way. I went back
There we
because
go.
I couldn't figure out like why you would ask the questions in that order. Laser pistol seems pretty big.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't see the deleted scene, which was when he said, "Also, what was with that turkey and stuffing thing that you got?" I mean, just think about it for a second. We're a team here. You're giving us a bad name.
Like
Or-
what? I don't know what you're talking about. That make perfect sense to me.
Didn't really make too much sense. So maybe we could.
Are
work
you
out a
questioning my
script.
sexuality? How
No,
dare you?
No, it's fine. If
You know
you're-
what? Don't ask, don't tell.
It just wasn't a
That's
very
the thing
good.
that will happen eventually.
I don't care that it made you sound gay. It just wasn't a very good fighting insult.
Look,
so
a lot of my
maybe-
friends are gay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Again,
I live in
don't
San Francisco.
Care. I don't care if you're gay. I just
What are
feel
you? Are you
like-
talking about where I went last Friday night?
No,
I
again,
didn't know that was a gay bar. I just went in
I
because I
can't.
liked the music.
You know, I can't stress this enough. I don't care if you're gay. It was just a bad insult. An insult that made no sense. It did not make them afraid. Maybe we could write out a script next time.
And scene. So moving forward, the Crimson Twins.
Oh, yeah.
Man, these guys are amazing. Are
I
they-
know.
they
I
are-
know.
I would
wanna
have sex with both.
them more and more every episode.
We'll tag team them.
Do you? I mean, so you're starting to understand now why they were my favorites when I was a little
Oh
kid.
yeah,
they're so
when
great.
they say no need to land the plane, I
Nope.
go what?
No, because we're just going to literally jump out of a moving airplane with no parachute
Yeah.
and then land on the roof of our building.
A lot of
just
things
keep
about
walking.
this. A lot of things about this. One, super slow plane. I mean, you got to have a terribly slow plane if you're going to jump out of it and land on a rooftop. Two, I feel like a lot of kids think that rolling is the thing that's going to get them out of, say, an 800-foot fall.
But they didn't even
Yeah.
roll. They just
didn't.
landed and then walked away.
You know
did
what?
they not roll? I feel like
I
there was a
don't-
roll.
I don't think there was a roll, but I do remember I wrote down in my notes that said like, if I could do this and not have to sit on the tarmac every time I fly somewhere and we've landed and they shut the air off and I get all claustrophobic,
Stop.
that would be awesome.
Sorry, stop. Back up. because you did ask me at the beginning to notate every time I thought that there was something like wildly homosexual that Roadblock had said.
Yes.
I forgot that
Did you have another cue up?
I passed this. I guess I do have. I can cue it up.
Because I want to hear them all now. Because
I want to hear them all in a row.
This heavy duty! And don't come back, or we'll slap you on a bun and serve you for lunch!
What's gay about
Does
that?
he say slap you on the buns or slap you on a bun?
No. Yeah, it's not. We will slap you on buns as you were a hamburger. We will slap you on the buns and serve you for lunch. We will slap you on your ass and then we will
Eat you.
eat you. And again, you may not have noticed this when you were a little kid. I am 100% certain that the writer, who I believe was female, I didn't
Believe
write
so,
down her name,
yes.
was like, I'm going to slip in every gay reference I possibly can. It's going to be magnificent. And like 30 years from now, someone's going to look at this and realize, like, holy shit.
It could also just be the voice actor read it improperly, and the guy in the booth was like, "Man, we'll keep it."
Every time, because this is not the only time, and there are more coming up.
I'm gonna slap you on the buns, and then you can stuff me like a turkey, and then we'll have a nice, lovely meal together.
We'll visit the Abbey. It'll be great. Oh my God! All right. Well, Chan, I'm starting to see your point.
I mean, I still want more though. If you're gonna,
And I'm not
make
saying
such a wild claim.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
And
Just to be
two
clear.
instances does not make a trend. I can say that right now.
I'm just saying, like, if Lady J were like, yeah, like, fill me with your 6 inches or something like that, it would be in the middle of a firefight. That would be inappropriate
and sexy.
And sexy.
Very sexy.
So this is where we learn the plan, right?
This is the plan.
And this is, I actually thought this was a good scheme.
You are out of your mind right now.
about?
I actually thought, I wrote it. I said, this is a good scheme! Exclamation point.
Okay, hold on. Explain the scheme as you think it is.
So they, I might have misunderstood it the first go around and not really realize what was going on until the end. I will admit to that. But buying out all of these franchises, actually, that was where I stopped listening.
Well, then that plan makes perfect sense.
I thought, oh, good. They're gonna make a lot
Okay.
of money to fund their evil empire by becoming like a McDonald's S corporation.
As I understand it, Extensive Enterprises owned a chain of restaurants called Red Rocket Burgers.
That is correct.
They then sold them to elderly couples,
I'm so far on board with this.
presumably in the same way that,
Bernie Madoff.
well, no, like those colleges will get GI Bill money, selling soldiers shoddy classes and taking the money that the government gives them to go to college.
See, I saw it as predatory lending. Like they were getting them in these bad deals to get a whole bunch of money from them.
Yeah, in some way they're making more money than they should from specifically elderly couples by selling them these franchises. But
So far, great plan.
great plan, but those franchises were doing well, and so they had to buy them back and presumably strong-arming them into selling for less than market value or whatever
Also, good plan.
to reclaim all of these things.
Well, they intimidated them because they had to make the projects fail, so that way they could buy them back for pennies on the dollar and get the people outside, from their own debts.
All right, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what the bikers were doing.
Also, they could have
Right.
just not sold it to them in the first place.
That's the other part, yes. I mean, maybe they sold it and then realized, hey, we got this plan for rockets on buildings. Hey, I
Right.
know, we used to have 150 buildings.
Cobra Commander, couldn't you have told us this like 3 years ago before we started selling them off?
No, the selling was part of the plan. Like, this was all part of the plan. It was, we will sell it at an inflated price and then send the goons in and then buy it back at a reduced price.
Okay, actually, that makes sense.
But also,
This is why it's a good plan.
but Destro's only been working on this missile for 2 years. So in theory,
But-
this has been going on for longer than the actual missile plan, which then gets wedged on top of it.
I feel like the missile
Synergy.
plan part, I agree, it's a little muddied. But the make money from old people by ruining their otherwise lucrative businesses.
That makes sense.
Great
Yeah.
plan. Get those old people.
Well, and now we know that the extension of the plan now is to get them back, slap missiles on top with the photon disintegrators on them, and then 150 of them threaten to blow up the world, the United States at least.
Yeah.
So the fact that Roadblock's family won't sell, okay,
The only one in the country.
only one in the country that won't sell, their answer is, they're not going to sell because Mr. Queeg goes in order to try to buy it, and Roadblock throws him right on his keister.
Yeah.
And then their answer is, well, they won't sell, thumbs down, blow it up. Well, how does blowing it up help their plan as much as leaving it alone would have also been fine?
I thought that, and then I saw like the actual damage that was done. The cars were blown up outside, the windows were blown up, but the structure of the building was still intact.
I feel like they just wanted them out of the building. Also, speaking of Queeg, I feel like I know exactly why and when he turned evil, and it was because
Do you have a backstory for Queeg ready to go?
Yeah.
Excellent.
His name is so close to Queef that you just know that when he was a little kid, he got made fun of. And that is when he thought, when I get older, I'm going to take a position with one of the most evil corporations ever, and no one can ever make fun of me.
Here's the thing. When I heard Queeg, I thought of Queequeg, the character from Herman Melville's Moby Dick.
Also
Excellent.
a logical.
I was thinking Captain Queeg. Yeah.
Also logical.
Captain Queeg from...
Mutiny on the Bounty, I believe.
So,
Yeah, all very
here's the
literate
thing.
and
Not
smart.
the same as
here's the thing. Ray was thinking of a literary reference, and you were thinking of a vagina fart.
I mean, if there's one thing I've got on my brain at all times, it's vagina farts.
Gina, let me be the first to say shame on you.
When Ray says shame on you, that's gotta hurt. That's
So there's a great moment that happens when Cobra decides to attack the restaurant, where there's a happy couple eating a burger who get fucking murdered. Just straight out explosion through the window, and they get blown right off camera.
I mean, it serves them right for going to an off the beaten path restaurant by the sea.
An off the beaten path McDonald's restaurant of all things.
to be fair, if there's only 150 of them, it's more like an In-N-Out.
An In-N-Out
That's-
burger,
that's-
Yeah.
but it is across the country, so maybe more like Five Guys.
I guess.
I bet it's good. I bet it's been established that Roadblock is a foodie,
But he hates Red Rocket, remember? Because they're driving before, and he goes like, "That food is trash."
but I guess it is a Red Rocket. But I feel like they would probably tweak the recipe so that
add
it's
some
still
spices
sort of
into
their
it.
own. You know?
Yeah. Because
least
these
that's what I hope.
aren't corporate controlled franchises.
Yeah, exactly.
They're sold to, so they're owner controlled. It's like the Astro Burgers.
Okay.
Like they have different menus depending on which one you go to.
Yeah.
But for the record, that couple's totally dead, right?
Probably.
Fucking
I'll
dead.
give you
Like,
that one.
just
Yeah.
it was so over the top violent. I just went,
Yeah.
whoa. There was a moment my wife was I had my headphones on watching it on my computer. My wife is on the other couch, and she's just like, I see her looking at me, and she's like trying to talk to me. I'm like, take off my headphones, like, what? And she's like, you just audibly like shrieked with disdain, and you had no idea. I just was making sure you're okay.
You felt a real connection with this poor murdered
There's this
couple.
moment where it's just long enough that you feel you know these guys. They're maybe out on their first date.
They did look pretty happy before all this happened.
Just blows them out of their booth. It was really upsetting to me, everybody. And then, so the Cobras are attacking from right above, and the G.I. Joes, of course, as you do, take a hovercraft to the Red Rocket.
Here's the thing. I remember when hovercrafts were fucking huge.
Yes.
They were amazing. They were basically the closest we were ever going to get, and it turns out it is the closest we ever did get to a flying car.
Yes.
Like this shit did not touch the ground.
Yeah.
You could go over water and over land with it. It was amazing. So when they had one, and when they had the fucking toy, they made the fucking toy.
I'd like to say it was
Holy
probably
shit.
at its height of coolness right around, I don't know, 1985,
That's about right.
when this episode
Did
came
you?
out.
Are we going to have a little quiz where we get what the acronym WHALE was?
You know, I didn't even think to look that up, so...
I thought about it. I was like, no, I'm going to make it fun for all of us and not look it up myself.
Have we gotten to the part yet where Lady J meets the family? Is she in there yet? Because I have a note about this.
that is right this scene, right before they
yep.
attack, yeah.
So this, depending on how you look at it, might be the first Bechdel test pass.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Because Lady J meets the family,
Yes.
and then Roadblock's aunt
Yes.
says something. Lady J says something. She asks a question, and then Roadblock's aunt responds. Now,
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
What is it, sir? That's Mr. Quig, the man who says we have to say him. Mr. and Mrs. Bronson, if I might take a moment of your valuable time.
Now,
Oh, do I have to
What
go
it is,
before that?
man.
no, that was it.
You take
Okay.
care of the
That was
customers.
it. Now
I'll
here's the
take
thing.
care of
Two
this
lines of
business.
ladies talking to each other.
She was sort of talking to the Joes in general, so you could make an argument either way.
But she was
that-
talking about Mr. Queeg.
Yeah, but the other Joes are present. And she's addressing the entire Joe crew. It's not like she and Lady J went in the corner and she was like, "Hey, what's going on?"
Yeah.
I feel like you could. It's not a true Bechdel test pass. You
It's-
could make an argument either way.
It's close, but not quite.
Right. The closest we've gotten though so far.
So we'll refer to this one as a Bechdel test close call.
Yeah, a Bechdel test it's like
Near
a
miss.
D plus maybe or a D minus.
D minus. And
That's-
incomplete.
Right.
almost.
And also, the other thing that I would like to say is Lady J's lip gloss is always on point. Like, I feel like she's not wearing any other makeup, but she always has slightly pinkish lips. And I respect a woman who takes the time to apply lip gloss before kicking ass.
I mean, it shows attention to detail that is missing in other Joes.
I like that we all have our own separate specializations on this show. We're all noticing specific things that nobody else pays attention to.
Chan, for you, I got it right here. The whale.
Hold on.
And when they said it out loud, I didn't even think for a second it was an anagram. And I knew shark was, but for some reason, whale, did not think that the whale. So, Chan, good
absolutely.
pickup.
They all have
I've
those.
got it right here. The WHALE. What does it stand for? Brief quiz, everybody.
What's the purpose of the?
It's a hovercraft.
Okay, so it's
And let me give you a little hint here. The first word, the W, has a colon, and then the other four words are afterwards. So it's one leading into the other four.
Okay, so it's going to be watch, hovercraft, always licks ass.
Well, that would be Wayla.
Oh, yeah. Always licks everyone.
Okay, well, that's an option. Jan, what you got?
White hot action lovers everywhere.
Boy, you guys are just not even trying right now.
After Shark, they can go fuck themselves.
Well, they can go fuck themselves in this one, too. It stands for warrior, hovering assault launch envoy.
That's actually pretty.
Warrior
good.
Hovering assault launch envoy.
I
Envoy
get it.
is weird.
And came with
And warrior
Cutter.
is weird.
Is that a weird name for a G.I. Joe Cutter? Named after a thing that
Yeah.
like depressed girls do to themselves
Yeah,
in middle school?
it just makes me think of, yeah.
Actually, a kind of ship. So
Oh. Well.
Well, shouldn't the Navy like show more like awareness?
Sensitivity?
Yeah.
I feel like cutting wasn't a huge thing in the 80s.
Interesting.
So probably
Yeah.
not so much.
So moving on, they attack up the side of the mountain with the goddamn hovercraft.
That is a pretty impressive hovercraft going straight up that mountain.
Have we learned
Yeah.
nothing about high ground? If you have it, it's supposed to be very hard to take. You're hard to hit. The G.I. Joes are like, oh man, they're all the way up there. Guess we just got to run up the side of the mountain at them and then take them out.
To be fair, they had weird mortar things that just stayed in one place. I don't understand what the point of those were and if they could be used for anything other than shooting down a hill.
They're used usually
At-
for shooting at aircraft. That is
Oh.
their primary function, except they can lift up and then the lasers are shooting down when you have the high ground as well.
Oh.
But their main purpose is for like sky striking stuff.
What do you know?
It's called the ASP, I believe.
Oh, did you have one of those?
I did.
Could you actually like shoot up and then also shoot down?
The thing went up. The guns went up in the air, but then you could stand the guy up and turn the guns so they would point down. Multi-use.
You know what? I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of that thing.
Now we've changed Chan's mind, everybody.
I did
now
not say
on
I'm a
board.
fan of the episode or the show proper, but I enjoy that.
You know what I'm
particular
a
tool.
fan of is the fact that in that fight that takes place at the top of the mountain, they use my favorite, our favorite G.I. Joe insult of another man. They called him a bum.
Oh, I
Get
thought.
out, you bums.
Hold on. I thought it was this one.
What a jive trick to fall for.
What?
That
What
was
did he
awesome,
say?
too. What a jive trick to fall for.
Oh.
Jive is
Straight jive.
man. That's
Barbara Billingsley
Jive
speaks
turkey.
jive.
you don't get to see that very often.
I especially like this scene because it's once again Lady J being awesome.
Lady J rocked this episode, too.
She's I am all on board for seeing more of her awesomeness every episode because I feel like she's the MVP every time.
She's really the
Most
glue holding
valuable. pussy.
Poontang.
Yeah.
She manages to punch out two dudes twice her size
Yep.
effortlessly.
Yeah. Well, she punches one and the second one falls over for the record.
Oh, is that what happened?
With the Crimson Twins
I
is what I'm
thought she
talking
did
about.
like a front punch and back punch or something.
no. Every time they
You punch one twin, they both fall.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
their
huge
thing.
weakness.
It's not. It's that's why they're in corporate politics.
Right. Yeah. But on the plus side, there's like simultaneous orgasms.
Yeah. Okay.
So you just get those all synced up. And
Yeah.
It's a good time for everybody.
So they end up figuring out well, now we have proof that Cobra is behind this entire operation. They're trying to put it all together. So they go back to the G.I. Joe headquarters, talking with Breaker, who basically is Google. Breaker's his big superpower is he knows how to Google back in 1985 because all he could follow corporate records and find the search documents. He's probably making memes back there. He's pretty fantastic, which leads to Roadblock saying one of the most interesting things well, what have we learned? And then the line is, well, we know that they're up to their noses in hamburglers.
I thought that was what they
I went back
said.
and listened to it 3 times because I'm it can't be hamburglers.
Yeah,
Hamburglers?
I'm pretty sure it's burglars.
Yeah, Chan, we're asking a lot of you right now, but can you cue that one up for us?
And hamburgers, that's for sure.
I'll be goddamn.
Oh
says
yeah.
hamburgers.
I only listened to it the one time, and this is what I said. I'm pretty sure he said hamburglers, but I'm not sure, and I don't want to go back and have me be proven wrong. So I'm just gonna go on the assumption that that's what he said.
It's 100% what he said.
Wow. Yeah. Roadblock is
His butchery of the English language is equal to his butchery of a cow and his barbecue skills. So they decide to go visit Extensive Enterprises and really get to the bottom of it. So they walk
wait a
into
minute.
Yes? What are we missing?
Never mind. Carry on.
Okay, so they go into Excessive Enterprises where Tomax and Zaymot are there, and they just basically walk in, and they don't have an appointment. They just walk right in. How do they not realize it's Tomax and Zaymot? I asked this over and over again because they're acting like you could just arrest them for being terrorists, couldn't you?
I feel like in the first arc, they were on screen saying, "We're your friggin' masters."
Yes,
And
in Pyramid
now-
of Darkness.
Now it seems like they just sort of have plausible deniability. We work with Cobra sometimes, but in fact, we're just businessmen and
Another example of white collar criminals getting away with it.
Too big to
Right.
fail. Extensive Enterprises, way
Yeah.
ahead of its time.
Yeah.
But it's just we work with Cobra. Yeah, they're terrorists who have no purpose other than to steal money from people and blow things up.
Yeah.
What's your point? We can't be held responsible for them when we appear on television with them saying we're going to take over the world.
they're like gun manufacturers. It's not
I'm
our
going to say
fault.
right now, Obama drones for less. That's all I'm trying to say. He doesn't put up with that bullshit. So they decide, so what is G.I. Joe's answer? Oh, they're stonewalling us on the corporate side, so what should we do?
Walk away.
No. Well, that's what they do at first.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's just break in tonight.
Sneak in, melt the glass.
Break in the window. This is highly illegal activity from G.I. Joe.
I mean, they got to do what they got to do.
This is some chaotic good shit right here. That's all I'm trying to say. Ends justifies the means.
Yeah.
Breaking it. This is not the G.I. Joe MO that I know and love.
I mean, they're going more towards torture and,
Right?
I'm
surprised they're not trying to waterboard Tomax and Zaymot.
I mean, Roadblock absolutely would do that. He
Yeah.
constantly brings up that every time they have a prisoner, he is always wanting to beat the shit out of them.
Every chance.
Does the sleeve pull up thing, and I'm really going to get into this.
So Lady J breaks in, and she immediately gets attacked by Tomax and Zaymot, now in war uniforms.
Sure.
They're not wearing the suits anymore. They're
Nope.
wearing their combat
This is their
gear.
after hours gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just hanging out the office in their after hours gear. What are they doing there? I guess maybe they knew that they were going to come back. There was
Yeah.
a sense of lack of trust there.
Yeah.
And this is when Lady J punches him out.
Yeah, I feel like I bet a lot of the Cobra guys have super boners for Lady J.
Oh, assuredly.
I bet that they're just oh God, that chick beat us again.
I feel like fully half the people that are at Cobra are there because they got dumped or in some way rejected by Lady J. Is like, fuck that bitch. I'm going to fix her. There's an entire organization devoted to taking her down.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
I bet there is a weekly poker game where they're just yo man, did you see I got beat up by Lady J again? No, man. Yeah, I know. She was so hot though. And they just talk about hey, do you remember that one time she beat me up real good? It's like guys drinking beer, playing poker, and talking about how Lady J kicked their ass.
Yeah, man. She beat me up real good, and then, I don't know, Roadblock said some stuff. Really weird now that I think about it. So this is my most, besides the people blowing up in the restaurant, this is the moment that was so fucked up to me, is that they all fall out through the window. And so they're falling to their deaths. Lady J's grabbing onto the helicopter. They're pulling her down, and then she offers a scream to take us to the commercial break.
Lady J!
What the fuck is that? That is
Yeah.
not a human being.
Yep, I absolutely made note of that.
She's part hawk.
That is a scream that would make Hellraiser crap his pants. I will put that out there right now. That was horrifying. That was Banshee's goddamn wail.
Every once in a while, they just they pull something out of their sound library that just makes no sense, or just pull it out of like the horror library and don't even pay attention. Stick it in, it'll be fine.
Because I'm watching this, I got my headphones on. I look away for a second, and that happens, and I'm not even kidding. I almost fell out of my chair. That was horrifying. I thought it was like one of those videos that makes you get your face real close to the screen, and then has the monster jump out at you, and like, God damn
Also,
it.
hold on. While we're talking about super creepy shit that's going on right around there, how often this episode are those twins going bananas with
Goblin
the laughter?
They're having, remember, because later on when they're pulling Roadblock off the rocket, they're just pulling on his one leg and just cackling gleefully.
Just laughing. They're falling down this entire time, hilariously laughing all the way down.
That's because they've got a magic thing in their wrist thing that lets the poles come across from the side of the building like you do.
Also, I would say that they probably don't get to use it very often, so they were probably excited.
That's the whole
Why?
reason they stuck around after work.
Yeah.
They're like, what? Maybe we'll get to use the poles.
Why would that be your go-to to save your life if you're falling down a building? One, two, the physics involved of actually grabbing onto a pole after you've been falling for, 800 feet.
It's obviously effortless.
I mean, it's
We've
all
learned
about
that.
the flair, and because they want to give people a show. Sure, they could have put out a net or one of those, pads that they put for stuntmen, but they wanted to go the extra mile so that if someone is down below looking up, they go, holy crap, those guys are amazing.
I'm going to take this the other direction, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, look at the way that they entered their building from an airplane. I believe that this is how they leave the building every night. They just open the window, lock down the poles, and then It's faster that way. Don't have to wait for an elevator.
That's a good point.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
This is another in a long line, and I'm pretty sure if we go back, we will see that they actually do roll when they jump out of the plane. I feel like this is another in a line of physics violating activities that makes kids think it's okay to jump or to fall out of a very tall building, because I distinctly remember as a child thinking that I could absolutely get away with it. Not because of Wile E. Coyote, but because of G.I. Joe. Like, shit, all I got to do is roll. All I got to do is, like, grab onto, like, a pole. Or even to this day, I still think, like, I bet you I could, like smack against the window and sort of, like, slow myself down just with friction.
I mean, to be fair, have you ever tried any of those things?
No.
So you could totally be able to do them, and you won't even know.
I am absolutely going to give it a try sometime before I die. Probably real soon before I die.
Too many more of these episodes, you'll be throwing yourself off buildings in no time.
Yeah. Yep.
Although I would say that seeing this is obviously why kids wanted to join the circus, because they make acrobatics look fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Just super fun, and they're giggling the whole time. They're obviously having a great time in this life.
Oh, man.
They got a lot of money and power, and they can jump around.
Jump around.
Jump up and get down.
So then what did Lady Jane learn from that experience? It's not good on the Peking duck
Yeah.
digestion.
Yeah.
She is so fancy.
Her and Flynn eating some fancy-ass Chinese food. Probably East Coast style, which I'm not really. I don't know. I'm going to say
Well, I believe Extensive Enterprises is like in New York, right?
Probably. Or
It's thereabouts.
Chicago.
Which it
who
seems
knows?
weird because they ended up all the way in New York like that day when they were on the PCH at Roadblock's restaurant that afternoon.
I will say this leads into yet another very creepy moment
Where they're
where.
peeping in the window.
Yes! At like a hot blonde.
I think she's asleep on the couch. Who just left her TV on.
I think she was watching it. She had her legs all curled up, and I was like, is this foreplay for these two that they're peeping? They're G.I. Joe peeping, and then they're like, oh god, yeah. Gets a peeking duck, look into a girl's bedroom window while we're using the helicopter. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they were just listening in because they said patches through to channel
VHF
whatever.
channel 10, I think.
Yeah, but
so that was
either
just
way.
a camera trick. It wasn't them like hovering in a helicopter 20 feet away from someone's apartment, because that would be pretty goddamn loud and noticeable.
Pretty sure they were. Otherwise, why even show that scene? Why even show the blonde on her couch with the TV on? I'm just saying.
It's getting creepy. They're peeping
creepers.
in windows. They're breaking into corporations.
They're creepers.
Flynn and Lady J they're on the precipice right now. I'm just saying, they're on the precipice of going somewhere bad. So okay, now we get to the part. Cobra Commander's epic, I'm going to take over the world speech. He's prepared a replica of a city in America. I believe we may have some thoughts on this.
I have a lot of thoughts on this.
So my first thought, first off, before we even get to the bomb itself, why use a goddamn replica? Why not just bomb a city? Prove your goddamn point. Oh, Cobra, have you created a bomb that can destroy 2 feet of model? Holy shit, I surrender.
I was wondering if that was a real car because I was like, that car looks like it's in mint condition.
It was a Power Wheel or a Hasbro.
I mean...
Well, it makes sense if it's a Hasbro. Didn't, Mattel made Matchbox, excuse me.
Oh, yeah. Still was a nice looking car, though. I would still be bummed that it got disintegrated.
So, the bomb itself.
The bomb itself is the opposite of a neutron bomb. The neutron bomb just kills people, leaves the infrastructure in place.
Yes.
And this one just vaporizes the infrastructure and replaces it with a beautiful meadow.
I will say I appreciate that he doesn't want a mess left behind. Like,
I would grant you.
I appreciate that he's looking after the tidiness of Earth.
I feel like this is a straight up Greenpeace thing. Like if like radical environmentalists could destroy, cities and just replace it with nature, they absolutely would do that.
I mean, I also think that he might have a little OCD in him.
Who, Cobra Commander?
I think Cobra Commander might be a little
He's got
OCD.
A lot.
And I think he was just like, all right, wait. If I blow up an entire city, there's going to be mess and rubble, and who's going to take care of that? And they're going to have to pay city workers. And
Is he Irish too now?
Yeah. Everyone's Irish in my mind.
Oh my God, Blowtorch is Cobra Commander. Shit.
They both wear masks. You can't tell.
But of course, the bird survives. Or is it a butterfly?
Butterfly.
It was a butterfly.
So the whole town is completely vaporized, and now we have a lovely path, a beautiful field, a tree, and a butterfly that replaces it.
Yeah, he says nothing remains but memories. Oh, and butterflies, because I like butterflies.
Oh, and that car turned into a tree. Totally turned into a tree. That's not weird, right? Like, it just, that's a thing I do.
Oh,
I care about the earth.
I assumed the tree was there. Was the tree not there?
The tree was not there in frame.
Wait, so a tree? I feel like it reduces it to what it was like before humans ruled the earth.
Interesting. It's like a time machine.
I felt like it's like those specials on the Discovery Channel, like Life After Humans.
Beautiful.
And it shows how long it would take for nature to get back to its shit.
And so he stands in front of a map of the I love that. He stands in front of a map of the United States, in theory. Now, this explains to me why I had such a hard time with geography when I was in elementary school. Because how many states are on Cobra Commander's map? If you were going to hazard a guess, how many states?
47?
There should be 48.
Well, there was 21 states present,
Whoa.
including a couple of them that seem like animation errors that are just like slivers where lines didn't cross on top of other lines.
I feel like maybe he doesn't recognize the northern states. Like maybe he's a segregationist and he's just
well, like California goes all the way through and envelops the western half of Texas and most of New Mexico and Arizona, but Nevada totally intact. He knows where Vegas is.
Here's the thing, though. If Cobra's going to take over the world, they're going to do some
rezoning,
border changes, and that's probably Cobra's. Like, this is what it's going to look like.
And that makes
Wait,
sense.
Why did you say there should be 47 states?
No, I said 48. You said 47.
I said 47. That makes more sense.
Chan, why are you saying those dumb things that I say? I say that all the time.
I was just guessing 47 because I was like, well, they probably didn't have time to draw the smaller states.
You know what? Fuck Rhode Island. It's just not there. Unless you, of course, listen to this in Rhode Island, in which case you're my favorite state now. So you would think that, though. 21 states, Cobra redistricting. Okay, I'm down with that. Until we flash to the G.I. Joe's version of the United States map, which has
47.
29 states on it.
Whoa.
Because I counted them all.
Whoa.
Missing states abound.
I'm telling you, they just don't count the smaller states.
The smaller states were absolutely like lumped into one, but most of the Midwest was lumped into about 2 states as well.
Well, that's
There's a big vertical state that equals Minnesota and like Wisconsin.
You guys, the writers weren't the only ones that had lunchtime.
We're mailing it in.
The animators was like, gotta get the it's Sloppy Joe Day. 29 states, let's go.
You know that crew eats all the sloppy joes if we don't get there on time.
Fuck it, 21 states, go. So this leads us now. This episode, I swear to God, this is a 21-minute episode. At this point where Cobra makes its demands, there's about 19 minutes elapsed with 2 minutes to go to end everything and the most truncated set of battles. And now Cobra's plan might be absolutely stupid. G.I. Joe's plan of taking out 150 rockets. This just blows my mind because the opening rocket they go to is at Coney fucking Island. And it's in the middle of a well-populated area, and their answer is, this photon disintegrator can wipe out a community. Let's just blow it up. The problem is it was going to blow up, so they solved the problem by blowing it up.
Did nobody notice that all of a sudden there were 150 burger joints around the country that were staffed entirely by Cobra soldiers in full Cobra regalia?
I feel like they were probably temps.
Just hired in from the temp agency.
Yeah, like they just in the local towns where the burger joints are, they just put out an ad for temps.
I feel like if you were hired at a place like that and you walked in, first thing you saw in the break room was a huge ISIS flag. And they're like, put on this turban and wear these like robes. And also, if a woman comes in, behead her. You'd be like, you know what? I don't think I want to work here anymore.
I would be like, I didn't line up any other summer job. And
I'm seeing this through.
And I really got to buy some back to school
And
supplies,
they do pay like $12 an hour, which is great.
And dental. God.
Full dental.
Oh, and I got one more step with Cobra Commander's announcement plan. He says he has 150 missiles, and then he shows you a map where every single one of them is located behind him.
Yep.
And then says, you have till tomorrow. I'm sure you're not going to do anything with this information I've given you. I mean, I think with this particular plan, maybe Cobra wants to lose. I think like Cobra Commander's like, maybe I can shove it to Extensive Enterprises on this one. They've been kind of pissing me off.
I think it ties into his OCD.
Absolutely.
I think he can only attack at a very specific time. It's 11:47 a.m. And if it's past that time, then he's like, all right, well, we can't do it now. It's bad luck.
Got to do it on an even number, and then it's in. So the other restaurants they go to, like at this point, it's already daytime. It is dawn, and nothing's happened, which is also weird. Only the first one gets blown out at night, which is that they show up and they blow up all the trucks in the parking lot outside the Red Rocket, and all the Cobra soldiers just come out surrendering.
I mean, it makes sense if they're temps.
Yeah, they've been here before, is what I thought. They're just like, I know how this plays out. I could save myself a roadblock, a homosexual innuendo. Let's just surrender.
Oh, but they don't.
But they don't.
Chan,
what do you speak of?
Because Roadblock shows up, and rather than shooting a rocket down, doing whatever you would do, he climbs on the missile.
Climbs on the rocket.
He shimmies up that missile slowly, sensually, and then what happens? The twins. They're like, let's do this. Let's make this a three-way. We'll climb up. We'll grab your ankles. We'll just yank it suggestively.
And the rocket goes off.
The rocket shoots off prematurely, like you'd expect.
And so he's playing Dr. Strangelove. On the rocket, fighting with the Crimson Twins,
who are giggling insanely.
Yeah,
they're having a great time this entire episode.
It's like any given Tuesday for them.
But Flint has maybe the worst plan.
Hold on, let me see if I can.
Oh, do you have that queued up?
I just want to hear the laughter. just laughing, just laughing.
Look, this makes me appreciate them more because they love life. And I feel like too many of the Cobra guys are just not happy individuals with a plan in life. And these guys have a plan and they're happy and they're satisfied. And I dig it.
It's not often you see somebody that happy in their job.
Yeah, I like it.
Enough,
70% of Americans don't like their jobs.
It's true. So
enjoying the breeze, Joe. They're making puns while the missile is flying through the air.
They could literally be killed any moment, and they're just having a blast.
Yep.
I love it.
No fear.
I love
no,
no
it doesn't
fear
matter.
t-shirts.
It doesn't matter. Wherever they fall off the rocket, there will be parallel bars to save them.
It's like Jim Cotta.
Yep.
Oh, there's a pommel horse in the center of town square. How fortuitous. So Flint comes up with the worst plan ever. He goes, man, we got one shot at this. I'm going to have to shoot the warhead off this moving missile with a missile of my own.
Why would you... Like, if you're shooting the missile head off, that seems super tough. Why would you just shoot a missile at it?
I have the answer for that. It's because the writer said, I have 5 seconds to resolve this. This episode needs to be done in 30 goddamn seconds.
Let's get a warhead-seeking warhead and just shoot it off the...
And somehow the missile knocks the warheads off, and the
Knocks it
missile
right off.
keeps flying in its current trajectory.
which apparently is a river.
It's a river.
A super convenient river.
Yeah.
Aiming for a river.
There's
Oh,
always
Cobra.
a river.
Also, the fact that it's water, the speed at which you would hit that water would destroy you completely. Then also there's the explosion.
The explosion
because
under the water.
The missile explodes immediately upon impact. So,
But everybody's fine.
yeah, and the twins, obviously, it was worth it just for the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love them.
And then fast forward quickly to an outside barbecue because we just can't. This episode must be over in 10 seconds. We're running long. We did 19 minutes of setup. So they decided to rename the restaurant Eat at Joe's.
Hold on.
Get it?
Back up.
Yes.
Back the fuck up.
Oh, shit.
Back the fuck up.
Hey, I can see that grin from here.
You can see that black man's grin from a mile away, can't you? Flint, you fucking racist.
He just means he uses crushed white strips, and it's a dazzling smile.
Uh-huh. Is that what he means?
That's probably what he means.
I don't think that's what he means at all.
I think it's what he
If
means.
you said that to Ronnie Adrian, would he think that?
The other thing was Roadblock wasn't even smiling when he came out of the water. He was very
Somber.
he was worn out.
Yeah.
And he was swimming in the opposite direction. Maybe he did see crest white strips. And I was
Yeah.
thinking about it. It's possible.
He's been. It was probably a whole conversation in the break room where Roadblock was like, "Hey, man, like I've been a little self-conscious about my teeth. I'm thinking of trying this new whitening thing that they've got going on." He's like, "You should do it. It would make your smile really bright."
I bet that smile would be so bright. I could see it from a mile away.
So it was really him complimenting him.
You know
It's
what?
another one of those stories that is like, it's beyond the scope of this 22-minute episode.
They ran out of time, Chan. I
Yeah.
can't express that in the most hardcore way. This is an episode that had
so
so
many
many
things up.
ideas and then ran out of time with a minute to go.
Yep.
It's like, you ever see those, have you ever watched like Chopped or one of those food preparation competition shows?
Of course.
Where all of a sudden, 30 seconds to go. Just throw it on the plate. Throw it on the plate. That's this episode. Just throw it on the plate. The sauce is everywhere.
And then, boom, Eat at Joe's.
Eat at Joe's.
Yep.
Good night, everybody. So that's the end of the episode right there. Gina, we've already talked about the Bechdel test. A near miss.
Yeah, closest we've come. Closest we've come.
I still think it's going to happen.
I mean, you could make the argument. Leave us a comment and tell me if you think this passes, because I feel like you could make an argument that it passes.
I would say no.
I mean, at the end of the day, she is talking about a man in their lives. So I think based on that alone, she's talking about Mr. Queeg. I want to see come back. I don't remember if he ever comes back again or not, but I want to say there's a place for Mr. Queeg in the G.I. Joe universe.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the end of the episode right there. To preview ahead quickly the next episode, all I'm going to say, you guys, is what if they made a G.I. Joe episode?
And nobody came?
No. Well, we're going to come. Well, that sounded weird.
Not any weirder than everything that Roadblock did this episode.
What if they made a G.I. Joe episode that merged The Gods Must Be Crazy and Planet of the Apes? That is the next episode of G.I. Joe we have to look forward to, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, man, and I am looking forward to it.
I would be as well. Well, anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us this week. You can find us facebook.com/knowingishalfthepodcast. I'm Ray Stacanis.
I'm Chan.
I'm Gina Polito.
And good night, everybody. We'll see you with the next mini-sode. Tell us what we missed.